All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Modern Day Prophets Rising from Soul. I am here with a gentleman that I had the pleasure of meeting a couple of days ago, actually on the phone, and I came across in one of the coaching groups that I'm in. I came across this live that you've heard me mention Desiree King and how much she's impacted me, and I came across this live that you guys were doing, and this man and Desiree just said something that really, really just spoke right to my heart. And so I knew watching him for 20 minutes, I wanted him on my show. He's got a really amazing background, and I'm really honored that you're here with us, Brent. Let me introduce you, Brenton Henderson, and I would like to just give you this opportunity to tell us a little bit about your story.
I'm glad you asked. And Dustin, thank you for the opportunity of being on your show this morning. It's been, I guess, a long underlying dream of mine to be able to provide for people. And my thrust has always been for the underdog. I can remember as far back as between 7 and 9 years old. My mom would take us to the local community service center and actually have us work. When I say us, I mean my brother and I work at handing out used garments, government items, and I'm sure at some point somebody's can recognize government cheese
Right.
and all that other good stuff. That is where we really got rooted in what I like to call community service. And no matter how far my career went in life, I always looked out for others. Um, as you can tell from the bio, that I was one of the co-founders of the Black Employees Association at Walt Disney Studios. Now, what this entailed, other than it just being a big title, what it entailed was creating jobs for men and women of color. They could have been Black, they could have been Korean or Asian or whatever, they're Native American. But most of the time we found that our counterparts had relatives that were in the industry,
Okay.
that would give them a leg up, or someone who knew someone, or someone's orthodontist knew someone's hairdresser, and boom, 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 another Peter Gruber story. The thing is, with us, we got on the lot any way we could, and 9 times out of 10, we were security guards, or we were personal assistants, or we were couriers, and don't get me wrong, glad to get the work,
Yeah.
but it was always good to have someone on the inside. Thus, the BEA was formed, and it was 3 members at that time. Shan Berry, who's a producer, he does documentaries. He just completed, well, not just completed, he completed a series on Black men in America. And his latest one was called For Colored Girls, which actually I think aired a few times on PBS.
Okay.
But it was Chan Berry, Shar Bullock, may she rest in peace, and myself. We got this overwhelming response in the community, in the entertainment community. How can we help? What can we do? What can we do to provide? I met more people I than I thought I would meet just through this vehicle alone. Well, in short, we were able to make a huge impact. We've got former security guards now who are visual effects specialists. At least the last time I was, in Hollywood.
Right.
We've got some that have become actors. You may recognize a few of the faces, that came from that. Music executives, the former president of Hollywood Records, Jesus Garber, very, very close friend of mine. Matter of fact, introduced him to his wife that he's married to of 22 years now. So it was an exhilarating experience. I think the biggest one that we got, or the 2 biggest ones that we got, we called Denzel's office, and he had his assistant get him on the phone to call us back within 10 minutes. And he's like, where do I show up? How do what's going on? What's my role in this? It was like he just assumed that he'd have a position.
Right.
And of course, us being overwhelmed, we're like, we don't even have an area to meet yet. We're just like, and we made an appeal to the maintenance. We made an appeal to the top of the food chain. At that time, my boss was Jeffrey Katzenberg. So, we threw it out there to him. Said, might as well, you're going to ultimately have to make a decision anyway. So
Right.
we were guaranteed a sound stage for 4 hours once a month, and we could conduct any type of symposium we desired and have any panel that we wanted to have. Matter of fact, times got so good that people came from Sony, Paramount, Columbia, TriStar to come to the lot just to sit in on these moments and take notes.
Wow.
I
Right.
can,
I would have.
oh, crazy. Okay. Um, we we had, but I think the most, I don't want to say shocking, but the most eye opener
Okay.
eye opening call that I got was from Andy Garcia. And when he got on the phone, he says, I want to come and I want to talk about music. I was like, okay,
Oh,
how are we going to put this together? We're
right.
talking about, a star here who usually plays gangsters.
Right.
So, he says, no, I don't want to do the acting. I want to do music. And he came with his documentary on the origination of Cuban music from Africa.
Okay.
Man, I had never seen anything like this in my life. I saw I know I saw this back in what 92 or 91.
Okay.
But it's so real. It's like it's in front of me right now.
Right.
And how he
Love that.
equated, yeah, how he equated um, the transference of humans from this area in Nigeria all the way over into America, and how some were ported to Jamaica, some were ported, to Cuba, and some jumped ship, and a lot of people lost their lives, but
Yeah.
there were some that made it to Cuba. So it was very interesting. It was eye-opening for me, and I really, really enjoyed that. But there were so many things. Again, my thrust was to create jobs,
Yeah.
so people wouldn't feel excluded, from mainstream.
To
And
create.
that's how the BA was formed.
That is amazing. That is so many.
Telling you.
Okay, I've got so many things to speak of on that. Um, wow. I mean, what an experience too of getting to meet some pretty high influential people, and then these
Absolutely.
are people that wear their hearts in their field, like they walk in their
Yes.
values. I know for me, Denzel Washington, he's on a lot of stuff that I just listen to on YouTube, and it's always the reach one to teach one and
Teach
teach
one. Yeah.
reach one. And so I hear that a lot, and I think he would be such an incredible man.
Yes.
uh,
Yes. He
and
is.
it's so funny you were talking about Andy Garcia calling up, and this person that usually plays gangsters. A couple of years ago, I got the opportunity to Uber James Jude Courtney, and he is the actor that played Michael Myers in the new
Mm-hmm.
Halloween movie.
Mm-hmm.
And him and I, in about 5 minutes, got into this such a deep God conscious conversation that when he told me the character that he played, I literally, my mouth dropped to the floor, and I was like, I have to know more. Like, like, I just need to know more. And so during COVID, we've been trying to get together and
Sure.
during COVID, he finally had some time, and so I did. I got to pick his brain about such a man of value living in that kind of experience as an actor, and so he just had some amazing stories too.
Oh
And
yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm like,
They loom.
what a
They
world.
loom. I often tell people Hollywood prepared me for mental health. Trust me.
Right.
I just got to be honest with you.
Right. Well, and you did it by trying to create jobs. And
Absolutely.
You know, it seems so easy in my head of how we can get there. And
Yeah.
and then I see so many people hesitate. I see so many people hesitate because they're afraid of that next step. And
Hmm.
I mean, I spent a lot of years there too. So it's not about judgment, but I hearing stories like that in what you do
Mm.
to create jobs and how well it worked and
Yeah,
what a community it made and how much connection there is, I can't help but think like these are the things that we need to be creating in our models today.
that's correct. Correct. Very
Like,
correct.
and it seems so simple to me. I'm like, okay, let's just get in there. Let's start,
Oh yeah.
you know? And
Yeah.
so when you were talking, it's so nice too to be able to talk to you because when you're talking about having people, as security guards in these fields and these fields and these fields, and
Mm.
um, it, it's always been a vision of mine that I've seen of saying, okay, let's just map it on the whiteboard. Where do influential people need to be? Like, what are the 6 top categories? And it was
Yeah.
like marketing, entertainment, TV, radio,
Hmm.
education, healthcare, finance, and then just saying, okay, now who knows about that?
There you go. Right.
Getting in groups and being like, okay, we got the best of the best working on it. Let's mastermind this,
That's right.
figure it out. And what you're talking about, there's this movement of marketing that's happening right now. And it's
Yes.
so beautiful because it is, and it's so, this just makes me so happy is that this is the model, like this model of, like, I call it serve, teach, and grow.
Mm.
I think
Nice.
Desiree with Pedro, they were talking about it being serve, learn, and grow. But when I experienced it, I learned something to teach something, and so it stuck better because I was
Mm.
learning it in a different way. So it really helped me break a lot of behavioral patterns too
Right.
that
Right.
I
Right.
had
Right.
just like mentally attacking something.
Got it.
And so it it just what's emerging, it's working so well, it's providing such abundance, it's creating such connection
Right.
because it's such an elevated model.
Right. Right. Exactly. No, I get it. I
Yeah.
get it. I get it. It's funny in scripture it says God looks for the mind of a child. The mind of a child is explicit. It's pure faith. Uh I can remember an experience where my youngest son was about 3 years old, and he always wanted to be brave in front of me.
Okay.
That was his thing. Okay, um, he uh, he and I were walking down the street to a park, our favorite park we used to like to hang out at.
Okay.
And as we were approaching the park, there were flowers on on the sidewalk.
Okay.
They were busy with life. There's the little hummingbirds and all the little, critters that, flutter and fly around the bush.
Yeah.
Well, on this particular day, I don't know why, but it was loaded with bees. And he didn't say anything, but, he's waist high. You have to remember, he's 3 years old. And this is the kid who asks, why everything? Why?
Right.
So, so we're walking down and I'm answering the why questions. And all of a sudden I see the buzzing and I'm like, we maybe ought to get out of the way. But then I said, no, these are not attack bees. These are honeybees. They're busy. They're at work.
Right.
This is a good object lesson,
Yeah.
right? I'm always in that frame of mind. So as we get closer to the bush, he gets quiet, and there are no more whys. And his hands have now dug deep into my leg, and I'm walking at as fast as the pace as I can walk. He didn't say a word, and it was quiet. We walked past the bush, and as we made our trek about 5 feet beyond, he began to say, "Daddy," and the conversation ensued. He says, "How come those bees didn't attack us?" And I said, well, son, I'm getting ready to go into my, little allegory. And he says, Dad, you don't have to go into all of that. He said, I just want to know why. I want to know if you know why the bees didn't attack us. I said, well, wait a minute. I said, well, what's on your mind? He says to me, the bees didn't attack us because you were here. And I looked at him. I said, you really think I protected you from getting stung this morning? He said, I don't think it. I know it. And I said, wow, the faith and the mindset of a child. What if everything was that simplistic? What if, like you just said, what if we're able to just map out a plan and take it step by step and everything worked exactly the way we see it or envision it working? The only thing that I could come up with that, Dustin, is the fact that our faith has to be implicit. It has to be connected to the power source at
Yeah,
all times.
yeah,
At least that's what I believe.
yeah,
And that's what happens in my life. So whatever comes up in these situations where there's lack or need or something or a hole that needs to be filled or whatever the case may be, we're prepared because we're connected. We don't always have to have the answer, but the
right.
answer will come through our action. Faith without works, gone, dead. Gotta take action, which
Yeah,
is what you were talking about this morning. There comes a time when the attention has been garnered and people are listening. Now it's time to come up with a plan to
yeah,
move forward. And that's basically what we were talking about earlier.
yeah. Well, and are you still there?
Are you there?
Okay, there we go.
Oh, okay. I think, yeah, I
That's
think I
okay.
got
I,
stuck.
I screw up technology, so if you hang with me, we're gonna have stuff that doesn't work right. It just, it's just a thing that happens. So I
It's
apologize.
okay. It's okay.
My mom is like, I touched her phone the other day. She grabs her phone. She's like, don't. I was like, I just literally, I told you beforehand. And she's like, seriously, don't touch. I'm like, I won't. I was like, so I don't know. I don't know what robot stuff that is.
Mm, mm, mm.
So we were, and I'm just gonna say now, I was gonna kind of wait until after this, but I think I want people to hear this is because this is in the beginning stage of waking up at 3:30 in the morning and literally being handed a design. And
Mm.
so it's through this challenge model that's emerging from the marketplace right now, because this is the model through business, through that serve, teach, and grow model, literally, like, not only re-educates us, not only gives us a value system, affords us the time to practice at whatever pace we want to, based on the wealth and abundance that we want to have.
Mm.
It's a working model, and so you have to earn it up front.
There you go.
There's no way around that, peeps.
Yep, that's right.
There is no way around that. And I will tell you, and I'm like, you have to be able to earn it to stand in the way of it. And this is where you just had such an impact on me in your conversation about standing in the way of your blessings.
Yes. Yes.
How this just emerged from standing in the way of your values.
Beautiful.
And what I see in this challenge is like literally 7 days hitting mental health, emotional health, physical
Physical health,
health, spiritual health,
financial health.
financial health, and then like what else I had. There was one more thing. Oh, education and entertainment, and I kind of put that in a
Hmm.
bucket. And so
Hmm.
literally, like, if we got a video of a leader that's inspiring and aspiring and a purpose driven leader in each of these categories, and collected some of their stories and
Mm.
collected some of that value, and then as a writer, like throwing in, I go live, I'm helping coordinate it, and then having um, the buy-in to the challenge go back to some nonprofits, and those are some of the people that are leading in the industry and like making sure our children are fed correctly, and how the importance of nutrition and stuff like
Sure.
that are in the community. And then if people want to donate or sponsor more, I'm looking for like $100 sponsors, $500 sponsors, and $1,000 sponsors, and then they will be recognized special in some sort of way
Mm-hmm.
later. Later. But it's
Beautiful.
all about getting this model in the community. And
Yes.
so what I see is, because I partnered with this TV station now, and he's just gotten like 70,000 views in the last, I think, month.
Wow.
So he's got a lot of attention, and then getting like 3 or 4 other collective people that maybe have bigger organizations in town. And why couldn't we all market this, share this, and then collectively start putting our value into it, and then redesign our education system while we're at it?
Hey, why not? It sounds like a plan to me. You you go, girl.
I mean, I'm like, okay, like I see it, so I'm gonna go do it. But it seems so, it's so easy to me. Like,
Sure.
just, and I get it. Like, I know we have to somehow, and maybe this is where, because tell people what you're building in Las Vegas.
Okay. We have a vision, and this vision has been burning in my heart for quite a while. I want to say at least since 2003. Um, as you can tell from the the bio that I sent you yesterday,
Yeah.
um, we spent a lot of time, about 11 years in the South, and while lecturing there and um, seeing the difference in culture and whatnot, um, I said there's a deep need to help those who don't have a voice. And it was like, okay, Brent, here you go again. You want to employ the world, you want to put your red cape on, and all that good stuff. And I had to continue to fight this because I didn't want it to be all about Brent,
Yeah.
and I didn't want it to be anything other than God Himself moving. So after coming back, I kind of went into a semi-retirement phase for a couple of years. Enjoyed my grandchildren. I had phenomenal fun. Saw some even get here along the way. But just really immersing myself in the thing that mattered to me the most. And then one day, my wife and I, said, you know what, we need to figure out what to do together. We have no kids in the house. We have, it's just you and I. Imagine the trouble we could get into. Think about it.
I
I
would have
said,
loved
wow.
to have been
I
part of that
Oh,
conversation.
I'm telling you, I said, man, sitting there, listening to my wife go like that. I'm like, yeah, I'm ready. What are we gonna do? Join a motorcycle gang? What are we gonna do? So of course I jest, but she said, I don't know. I just think that with the skills that you've garnered throughout the years and the skills that I've garnered as a nurse, we could probably, I don't know, we could do something.
Change
At
the
least it'll
world.
keep us, yeah, right. At least it'll keep us busy. So we first and foremost during this family quest, um, we knew that my parents were up in age and that they would most likely need support, uh, and we couldn't really give it that much support living in Newport Beach. So we decided to move, and we moved. I believe it was 2013, and we we had a home out here. It was just there, so we moved right. We didn't have a problem with that. We just moved right in,
Mhm.
and we were about 15 minutes away from my parents. And as sure as things would turn out, he did pass away a couple of years ago, and well, 3 years ago now. And we sold the house and moved here to be near mom, and her health is waning as well. But we're so privileged and honored to be around our hero right now. It's every day is a blessing. So I don't want to get sidetracked with that, but it really is.
Yeah.
Um, while here, we became very active in our church, the Abundant Life Seventh Day Adventist Church here in Las Vegas, and we we began looking at different ministries that we could attach ourselves to. One was Family Life, another one was Pathfinders for the Youth, and another one was the Community Service Center, which I couldn't ignore because that's how I cut my teeth in all this stuff.
Right.
That was
Okay, what was
again,
the third? What was the third one?
community service,
Okay.
and we're out doing things. We've been as far as Wisconsin with the kids camping. We've taken trips. We've had banquets. We've done all kinds of stuff to have fundraisers for certain things. And while we were out one day, we were eating lunch. I forget what event it was. There's so many. Um, and a couple looked at us, an elderly couple looked at us and said, "You guys remind us of us." And I said, and how's that? And he said, "You're involved in everything. You're active. You're doing this. And when you're called on, you don't say no. And you should say no sometimes." They were just going left and right. She says, "Do you realize that there's a government, you could get a government contract for mental health, and you can do exactly what you're doing right now, only you would earn money doing it." I looked at my wife. I said, "Is this the trouble you talked about getting into?"
Because I just went, huh?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
I felt like
needless, yeah, I'm telling you, needless to say, business mind, I linked right into the state of Nevada to find out where these opportunities were. And lo and behold, there it was, mental health.
So, so let me just stop you really quick because I want to know. I love to hear about relationships too, especially relationships that are working, because I think
Sure.
we need such a good model of men and women, because a lot of us don't really have that good of a model of what a good relationship is. And
Mm,
especially when you're in business and you're very business minded and coming together, like what
sure.
do you think like her strength is, and what do you think that your strength is in making
Okay.
that work?
Yeah, my wife has been a nurse for as long as I can remember. She was a nurse before she was a nurse. That was her calling. And oftentimes we would. Um, this is a very unique story, so you have to kind of listen to the details. She was my high school sweetheart,
Okay.
so
Love that.
we would have these dreams and aspirations of the things that we wanted to do, and she could only see herself being a nurse. That's all she ever wanted, and she wanted to help the elderly. And my wife is Filipino, and that's part of the culture. They're taught the old ways to respect the elders, to take care of the elders until they pass. And um, this the situation that we're in right now was a perfect shoe-in for her. Her and mom are like best friends. So oftentimes I have to say, "Son, husband in the room, hello." you know but I'd rather much have it that way than
Yeah.
to have it the other way, if you know
Yeah.
what I mean.
Right. Right.
So
True
matter of
story.
fact, right now they're bouncing around the house. That was my mom waving at me through the window. They're bouncing around the house right now, getting ready to go shopping.
I love
But
it.
but getting back to what we brought to the table,
Mhm.
um, my mom was forced at a young age, at the age of 32, to go into business. Mom was she was a domesticated woman.
Okay.
My dad left when I was about 4 years old, and this put her in a very, very interesting spot that she hadn't planned on being in.
Those
Needless to say, yeah,
never.
needless to say, she went into real estate and became very, very successful over the years.
Okay.
She started in 1970, and here we are, some 50 years later, 60 years later. Mom has just been a powerhouse. Thank God for grandmothers and aunties and all of those people who pitched into my psyche.
God
And
bless.
yeah, they didn't let up. They, it was like one of those things. You wanted blah blah, you better so and so. And college is not an option. This is not an option. This is what will happen, and you just did it. You did what you were told, and
Yeah.
that's the way things work. But yeah, I had some strong influences in my life, and I'd have to say she is the biggest influence. So the business acumen came from her,
Okay.
and I was able to sit down and go through a 400-page manual on the articles of mental health
God bless. God bless your mind.
twice.
Bless your mind.
I'm telling you. So after I found out that we could actually what they call as a BHCN, a behavioral health network, um, we were like, okay, so all we have to do, and here comes the faith, the simplistic faith. All we have to do is find qualified therapists who want to work for people who are not therapists and have different types of modalities and therapies that they can actually grow from.
All
Okay, sounds simple to me.
right. I
Let's
get
make
it.
it happen.
Yeah.
And 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 I tell you, Dustin, we had no idea the ride we were in for when this happened. Oh my goodness.
I can only
I didn't
imagine.
know. Well, first of all, our the relationships that are formed, these are clients that are primary 90% of, so you're already dealing with a certain demographic
Yeah.
that no one else wants to deal with, or that doesn't want to deal with.
Yeah.
And these people usually don't have a voice because no one wants to listen.
Yeah. Did you,
So
how did you call that the other day? You said like we don't want to look at the ugly. Was that it?
that's
Or
right. That's
okay.
right. They don't. They don't. And we as a human race, we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And to be able to facilitate for these people, I have a legal background as well, was awesome. I man, it's just the memories and everything are just flooding my brain right now.
Yeah.
I can remember we started with 5 clients, two that were one that was schizophrenic paranoid type, another one that was schizophrenic expected, and then we had 3 others with disorders. 2 of those were PSTDs and or PTSDs, I'm sorry, and ADHD. He was an 11-year-old boy, severe ADHD. Anyway,
Boy,
um,
those are
having having to get these people to first of all admit that they needed therapy, and oh boy, that was
so much
oh
convincing. So much
mercy.
convincing. So much
Yeah.
convincing. You're just like,
Oh, it's something. It's something. But
yeah.
here it is. These are people.
Yeah.
So we have to treat them with that dignity. So I said, you know what? You guys can do your models, and the therapist says, but I want to spend time with one-on-one. I want to spend time with these people. I want to go shopping with them. I want to see what their life looks like.
Yeah.
And because to me, that would be the most effective way to work the treatment plan that's coming from a therapist.
Yeah.
So we went ahead and did that, and helped these people learn how to budget their money, help them with their hygiene, to show them what's acceptable behavior versus what's not acceptable, boundaries, rewards, consequences, all of those things. And I can truthfully tell you that using that model bolstered our clientele from 5 to about 120 over the course of about 2 years.
Yeah. I can
So,
imagine.
and trust me, we weren't that kind of agency that wanted to keep clients forever just to milk the system, because there's a ton of those out there as well.
No,
Um,
that is not your heart, my friend. You're
no,
very
and
cool.
what we wanted to do was really understand what was going on in our community. And I'm going to tell you, after being around these people, and you know understanding their plight, I had to come out of the confines of a contract, which is what led me to the Tree of Life Outreach Project, which is a total nonprofit situation. And we are not governed, nor do we have to answer to anyone's drumbeat but our own. Um, and we're looking at becoming even more highly effective than what we were in the past. We do have, we do support an agency called Eden's Way. It's brand new, and it contains most of the clients that we had at one point. But we've moved on, and we're really ready to get serious with this business of
Yeah,
improvement and taking legislative action
yeah,
uh, to get these people the help that they need, to help them be integrated in society. A lot of this has to do with dignity as well, Dustin.
yeah,
When people are treated a certain way, uh, an effective result will follow,
yeah,
and it will more than likely match how they have been treated.
yeah,
Um, and the climate is ripe for that, especially now, with all of what's going on in our media, what's going on in our congressional offices and our
yeah.
Senate offices.
Well,
It
here's the scary thing too. So before COVID, so I've worked in a lot of different. I worked in a supplement store. I worked in a CBD store. So everywhere I worked, I learned the modality that they were trying to use for health, and I learned it to like the best that I could as far as what was really out on the market, what was good for people. And so I would really spend a lot of time just talking with everybody. And
mm,
with those two things of PTSD and ADHD, it's a diagnosis that people are identifying with as well,
that's right.
to use it from going to a deeper level. And
Right.
when you have that conversation with somebody,
Mercy.
like that is,
Yeah.
you're like, you
Pretty
got a choice.
powerful.
Like you got a choice. Like I get
Pretty
it.
powerful.
Like I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But and so it's also really, I think, overused,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
overdiagnosed,
Mm-hmm.
and just being amplified with the fact that we're not teaching these things as abilities, like how to grow our intention,
That's right.
how to
That's
grow
right.
our attention. Instead, it's, oh, I can't do that. I have
That's
that
right.
stopping me. And it's like, no, it's not.
No, no, no. Well, I'm going to tell. I can share this with you. The 11-year-old that I spoke of, the young gentleman that was diagnosed with a severe ADHD, is no longer on medication. As a matter of fact, we've
I
kept in
love
touch
that.
with the family. Yeah, they haven't gotten services uh, from any agency for the last year and a half. He's doing well in school. Matter of fact, he's making straight A. Well, no, not straight A's. He's making A's and one B.
Okay.
And he is proud of himself, loves his mother. When this, hello,
Hello. Okay. There you go. You're back.
you got me?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
All right. Keep going.
Yeah, he was very obnoxious. He was um, just, for short of a word, just evil,
Okay.
just because
Okay.
he wanted to be. But once we found out that he was on 6 different medications,
Right?
risperidone being one of them, and that alone will change your personality.
Yeah.
And he was getting he was getting an Invega shot, once every 3 months for that, to make the voices go away. So he was dealing with a lot, but
Yeah.
the thing that brought the voices on was the Latuda, and it was
That
the meds.
medication cycle. Yeah.
They were
It's horrible.
Yeah, and I'm not knocking psychiatrists, please. Hello, this is
It's
Brent
the
talking.
it's the
I don't knock
overuse
you.
of medication.
That's right. However, it can actually fall in the wrong hands of someone else who's also trying to make money.
Absolutely.
And you know the story.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Anyway, this kid um, is now doing phenomenally well.
That's awesome.
Phenomenally well.
That's awesome.
hmm we had another one who was the schizoid or schizophrenic paranoid type. We found out that his crises were spurred on by his diabetes, and no, he had never been diagnosed with diabetes. His blood sugar, when that's off, you're liable to do anything. You get dizzy, you're forgetful, you have fits, all types of things that occur. But he had never been diagnosed with diabetes. Once they diagnosed his diabetes,
Yeah.
everything else fell into place. Now he needed a lot of therapy to come up out of that, but at least we got to the root of the problem.
Absolutely. Well, and that's what we're not taking the time to do. We're calling all of these symptoms the problem.
Sure,
And
sure.
there's a root cause of it. And I think that
hmm
there's a root cause of it on a couple of different levels. You were talking about dignity. We're a society that's formed itself on shame. To
hmm
be honest, I think that it's going to take the social work kind of heart to step into these roles in every organization and every model
Absolutely.
to retool them. Um,
That's right. That's
you
right.
and so yeah, I mean, and it just what you're doing too, because we have all these systems that it's an ego based system.
It is.
That's why moving into your heart when you actually, and that's what I teach is I just take people from their heads into their hearts, and then I get
Mm.
the oxytocin going, and then I get all the love drug going, and then they're a lot more receptible to changing a behavior, because what they've been doing is they've been trying to change a negative thought by continuing the loop,
That's right.
and it's got to
That's
be
right.
a behavior change.
There you go. There you go. You
Like
should have been. Why aren't you out here in Vegas? What's the problem?
no, I was out there. You got there. I didn't realize you were there. I made a wrong turn to Michigan.
We need soldiers like you, man. Wow.
Well, and so here's what I want to do is I want to get you on the panel with like these two other people that I know that are just we have to get this out there. Like we
Yeah,
have to
we
get
do.
this out there.
I
And
agree.
I think, I was beating my head because there was like some things. I saw this whole vision. It was immediately taken away. And then it was like, okay, take the next step. And I went, oh gosh. And I was like, all right. So it was the thing that kept repeating was take that first step in faith. And I'm like,
Yeah.
taking a lot of steps in faith. And it's just like, concentrate on the one in front of you. Concentrate on the one in front
Oh
of you.
man.
And then when you talk about those blessings, when you can
Yeah.
actually get your body functioning the way that it's supposed to, and
Correct.
not entangled with all of these things coming from these very superficial layers, you just expand. Like, tell us about that expanding in you, because
Well, uh, wisdom is a gift that God gives freely if we just ask Him for it. And I have to say, obviously, that I'm not the same man today that I was when I was 25. Sometimes I think that when I do stuff out in the yard or if I'm helping my wife do something. But yeah, I am not that guy. He's evolved.
yeah,
And the way that I would have to say the way that I have uh, um, continue to pull the layers off is that I continue to try myself. I continue to challenge myself. And with each challenge comes a new experience, which pulls away another layer of who and why we do what we do.
yeah,
At the end of the day, can you truly say that you lived your life as though that day were your last? And that's not cliche. That is so not cliche,
yeah,
especially when you get to be the age of 56 You're looking at life through an entirely different set of eyes.
Yeah.
You're looking at legacy. You're looking at, okay, are my parents going to be okay until they close their eyes? I'm worrying about my kids. They're adults, yeah, but they've got grandkids and they've got issues and they got whatever needs, and just to be in the middle of all that traffic, so to speak, and to let God really work His way. I joke with people. I tell them work His magic is something that is so miraculous within itself. Um,
It's
it's amazing,
miraculous.
and then it gives you confirmation. You're up at 3 o'clock in the morning writing something down, and now it's like shut down, and you got go back to sleep, whatever. And then now you hear me bringing it, throwing it right back in your face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's confirmation.
Yeah.
And we have to look at that. We have to keep our receptors open to say, okay, I resonate with that. That hit me. Then I have to go pray about it, but I'm going to take action. If God doesn't want it to happen, trust me, He'll block it.
Yeah.
But if He wants it to happen, well, like I said, whether it's an obstacle or a
Yeah.
closed door, you will know. If
Yeah.
it's an obstacle, you have to ask yourself, how did I get here? How did I arrive at this point? And once you can determine, you'll know whether it was a shut door
Yeah.
or if it was an obstacle.
Well, one thing that's been beautiful about this week that I've really, because so I've also got like a dream team of healers right now, because I had to write out my trauma page, and my trauma page is like 4 pages. And I'm going through this process, and I'm like, damn, that's a
My
lot.
goodness.
That's a lot. And 6 years ago, I was a mess. I was on sleeping medication. I was on pain medication. I was drinking a gallon of wine
What?
a night. I was smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a night. I was eating my weight in sugar. I wanted to just get out of my life in the corporate world. I was so miserable. And literally, I had this epiphany that
Mm,
God came down and said, it wasn't God at first, but it was a messenger, and came down and just said, you're living your life as a hypocrite, because I've been like involved in massage therapy and Reiki and all this stuff. And all this time, all I did was talk about it. And I didn't live true to it
mm.
behind the scenes. And so this message came that number one is self-love. And you can't love yourself if you're literally doing something that's killing yourself every couple of seconds, and that was smoking. So they gave me the choice if I wanted to quit.
Wow.
And I just said, I am no longer a smoker, and I never smoked again. And in that, I literally was given like the next one after I practiced self-love was trust, and then commitment. And
Mm,
these messages
mm.
were coming to me in words and numbers, and I'm like, okay. Like I just I just walked in that value, and it would take me to these places that I'm like, what that it was who I was becoming, and it was who, like, I had to learn these values, because that was the only way that I was going to get through all of the mental conditioning that I'd had growing up in the
Sure.
really super fight or flight. And so now I've got somebody that's working on my generation history, because I'm like, my family has been bringing a lot of this crap with us, and it's not like we're getting
Yep.
out of it.
Yep.
And then I'm working with like a shaman sound vibrational guy who I don't
Wow.
know what he's doing, but I'm like, dude, you open up another level in me every time I work with you, so I'm just gonna roll with it. And then I'm seeing a chiropractor 3 times a week, because I've had such like sacral issues from
Mm-hmm.
all the sexual abuse and trauma that's come
Sure.
from my family line. And I'm like, no, it's time to get aligned. And so I've got this like power team too. So I
Wow.
can't wait to see what happens. Like, I can't wait
Mercy.
to see what this is supposed to bring, because
Man.
literally God is putting in my life again those people that are like, listen, go talk to them. And I'm like, okay. Like, prepare. I had to prepare. She brought me through it in 3 stages. And the first time I wasn't prepared at all. And I had to practice. This is how I practice. I lived my life every day for a good 6 months, that was the last day that I had on this earth. And I had to
Wow.
experience all of the trauma that came up, all of the loss that came up, all of those
Mm.
egotistical feelings, and I had to work my way through to gratitude. And
Good for you.
when I could completely shift my perspective and live that day in gratitude instead of like with
Mhm.
that conditioning,
Sure.
like my like that life leveled up a lot.
Mm. Mm.
And
Wow.
it everything changed. Communication changed,
Mhm. Mhm.
mental
Mhm.
conditioning changed. I'm still having somebody that's going to work on the actual like transmissions.
Sure. 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 No. No. I get it. I get it.
Neuroscience, I don't really know, but I'm sure that there's traumatic things in there that actually need like specific conditioning. So I'm going to have her work on that too. But that's what it's going to take of people that work on themselves like that,
Mhm.
that are working in their strengths
Wonderful.
to go and do what you're doing, to go and connect
Exactly.
to other communities so we can,
Sure.
like, hey, you're not in this alone.
That's right.
You know,
That's right. No. No. No.
you may
And
be
some
over
days,
here, but you're not in this alone. And now we have numbers.
and some days you feel like that. You know. Does anybody see what I see? You know. I mean,
Yeah,
can you see this, or you don't want to? Oh,
yeah.
you don't
Oh, you
want
don't
to see
want
it.
to see it. Gotcha.
Okay.
Well, and there is something that's coming too, because when God, and I don't know, when God shows up in my life, he shows up with Ariel, and she's just this beautiful spirit, and she comes in synchronicities, and she comes in pink. Like she's the reason why pink is now my favorite color, because when she
Mm,
came in my life, I finally saw like a real shade of pink.
mm. The way
And
it was supposed to look.
the way it was supposed to look, and so it became my favorite color. And so when the synchronicities start showing up too, I also know that life is about to level up. And I don't know what that means this time because of COVID, and
Good. Excellent.
it's, it's, haven't you been called during this time?
Let me tell you something. I found out a way more about myself than I've ever known during COVID. COVID has taught me Thank you, COVID.
Thank you,
Appreciate you.
COVID. Thank you,
Yeah,
COVID.
yeah, yeah. It has really, really done a work on me. Well,
Well, and it's
Tree
that,
of Life.
oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Uh-oh.
Are you still there? Okay.
Are you there? You
There you go.
stuck? Oh, okay.
I was
Okay.
actually just holding the pose and then see if you noticed.
Well, Tree of Life is aimed at providing a place where people can come and benefit from the community resources that we hope to provide. I shouldn't say hope that, but that we will provide.
Yeah.
We're looking at a praise center. People of all faiths can come and feel comfortable in their worship experience. I think I had shared with you yesterday. Part of what spurred this on was we had these people that were benefiting greatly from the services we were providing. We had even linked ourselves up with several food banks. We would drive them out maybe 2 or 3 times a week to go get food. They never ran. Now, that's one thing. My clients never ran out of food unless that was something they wanted to do. Food was plentiful.
Okay.
Groceries were plentiful. We had even locked into certain factions such as Bishop Gorman, which is an organization, an educational organization that would get together once a month and look over severe cases of people getting evicted or uh, uh, being on the street, needing to get into shelters, or who were behind on their utility bills and were unable to cook the food that we had because their electricity or gas had been cut off. Bishop Gorman organization would step in and they would fill those gaps for us financially.
Okay.
We also have a DME that we're very close to. It's a durable medical equipment store. Um, that's also located in close proximity to us, that we're able to get almost anything for any client, whether it's a wig due to, leukemia, or not leukemia, but radiation therapy, or, um, chemotherapy.
Yeah.
We have wigs for those patients. We've got prosthesis, breast prosthesis, leg prosthesis. Um, I mean, anything you can seriously think of that a person could use from home health care, we have access to. She's also a notary. So if we needed birth certificates to get social security cards, which lets us to get IDs. It's people don't realize how hard that is, and
What
they
is
don't realize what these people have to go through. I'm sorry.
I said, what does your whiteboard look like?
What was that?
What does
What'd you
your
say?
whiteboard look like?
It's huge.
I just
I have
think
to.
in my mind I'm putting post-it notes and post-it notes and post-it notes.
Oh man, I'm
Oh
telling
my
you.
goodness. Did you
And
build,
then
did you build all of this? I mean,
yes,
this is
bus
just
pack. I worked out a deal with the well, most nonprofits can, but even organizations. What I did was I worked through my church while I was waiting for our nonprofit status to come through. But we were
okay.
utilizing their nonprofit status to get bus passes at 60% off. We would actually come in and buy those out of our own pockets. Not anything that Medicaid says we have to do, but
Yeah.
we would buy them out of our own pockets, and then we would let the therapist disperse them, so these people would never have an opportunity to say they didn't have transportation to get to their appointments. And these bus passes were specifically for that purpose. Later, as we grew, we were able to give out a few more because they still needed to get to their primary care physician, whether that's once every other week or once a month. And then they were wanting their independence to go shopping. And we had been taking them. So this looked like a nice little trade-off. We weren't having to, do that. But it also showed growth in the fact that they wanted to become independent. And that's really what our ultimate goal was. But today, these people would come to church, and the looks that they would get from parishioners was obvious. And again, I love my parishioners as well. They just haven't evolved to this
Yeah.
level yet, and we're just gonna love them until they do, and
Yeah.
it's okay. Meanwhile, our goal is to provide a haven for them to come and enjoy the goodness of God being preached, and without having these community barriers that they're so used to getting every day on the street.
Yeah.
We also want to have a place for job training,
Uh-huh.
whether that's to become a CNA or to become a medical front desk person or welder or whatever. There's going to be many opportunities for that. We also want to get a senior citizen complex together so that the elderly can have a spot centrally located to their stores, their doctors, and even have a barbershop and beauty salon in there as well. But we want to become a resource for the community, Dustin, not the other way around. And
Yeah.
right now, that's the state that most of our
Yeah.
churches are in. But
Now, first off, are you
that's what we want to do. And by
are
the grace of God, I know it's going to happen.
are you it's gonna happen. I mean, it's gonna happen. It's
Oh
happening,
yeah.
you know,
Oh yeah.
it's
Oh yeah.
happening. um
Yes.
and you're partnering with Desiree in a project?
Well, now the project that Desiree and I are working on is her talk show,
Okay.
and we want to address community issues.
Okay.
And our initial thought was to get people from the community,
Okay.
literally from the community, and interview them
Okay.
and get to hear their story. These are the stories that don't get told. These are the stories that
The
are,
untold
that are exactly. I mean, when you listen to Desiree's story, like I told you, I'm ready to go put on leotards, a cape, and fly over the state of Nevada and fight crime.
I gotta tell you, I'm a little bit nervous because from the moment that Ariel came into my life,
Mm-hmm.
she's been preparing me because she wants the mic. Desiree makes me want to pick up the mic, and I'm a little nervous of what's
Mm-hmm.
going to happen when Ariel comes out and she's got the microphone. Because Desiree just makes
Oh
me
my
want to get
goodness.
up and
Oh.
preach. Like, that woman.
She'll preach anywhere, anytime.
Yeah.
Trust me.
God bless you for helping her get in front of a camera.
Oh, she woke things up in me that I had already, buried pretty much.
Yeah.
But it's wonderful. It's refreshing to always see someone on fire for God.
Yeah.
Just to be near that person, and share that spirit, and your hearts resonate. It's
Yeah.
amazing. It's
It's the best
amazing.
feeling ever.
Yes, 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 absolutely.
I think that I got to come out and visit you. I think I need to see what your day in the life looks like and just follow you around with a notebook and just
Oh
are
man.
are you teaching other people how to do this?
Well, right now we're on the trail,
Okay.
to raise money.
Okay.
That's pretty
Raising
much
money
where
for
we are right
that. Okay.
now.
Does Desiree have a funnel set up for you guys yet?
I don't know.
Okay.
I
Is
have
she
no
doing
idea.
any of your marketing at all?
Is she utilizing any of our marketing?
No, is she doing any of your marketing?
Oh, she mentions who I am here and there, just
Okay.
like I do with her. I mean,
Okay.
that's cross. Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, what I'm trying to do is so I've got like a funnel hub system because I want to
Hmm.
start building funnels for nonprofits and setting them up with challenges. That's why I want to
I
start
got you.
a community challenge. So I'm trying to make it
Mm.
successful.
I
Um,
got you.
but because if you have a funnel and you spend a couple of days just doing some videos
Hmm.
and taking some specific content, which you can either pull from my written content or write your own, you can
Hmm.
set up an automated line of income starting to come in.
I see what you're saying.
It's the model that's emerging. That's how Desiree found Pedro, and that's the Hurt to Healing Challenge. It's that model.
Mm,
So I want
mm,
to have like a collective one where I've got several leaders in specific areas, those areas, and then help nonprofits start with that kind of a funnel.
I got you. I got you.
And then they can
That
start,
would be
people
great.
pay $25 to join your challenge, and then you've got their attention, and now they're in your audience because you're attracting just what you need.
Mhm. Just
You know?
specifically what you need. You
Yeah,
know, again, as I get older, I'm learning.
yeah.
I
Well, I'm learning
just,
this
just
too.
like I said, just when I think I've mastered whatever, here comes something else. This internet thing is just amazing. I mean, obviously, I use it to communicate with.
Yeah,
That's about as far as I
yeah,
used it for, and to write papers. But that was the extent.
yeah. Well, we're gonna get some money coming into your organization. I don't
Well,
know. I
praise the
don't know.
Lord.
I don't know where yet, but we're gonna start that process. But this community. So I just launched
It's
my
all good. It's
I
all
just
good.
launched this challenge, and I'm in day 6 now. So today's day 6 and tomorrow's day 7. So I wanted to do that just so I had a model. And then I've been having my marketing stuff being built for me as I launch this first one. And then I'm going
Mm,
to launch the community one. So then I at least have a model and have the learnings, and then can approach the nonprofits and say, okay, like here's the bones of it, throw in your pictures, throw in your words, and then
mm-hmm,
siphon it into whatever way you're communicating with your audience. Usually
mm-hmm,
there's a good
mm-hmm.
email source. that's pretty much, and then when you've got
Sure.
that, then you just start that automation process. And I'm learning it from Desiree's team right now tomorrow, because I want to be able to help because otherwise, if we don't get money into these organizations, like, we got to
Where are
solve
we gonna
that
be?
problem.
Yeah, we gotta get it done. We
Well,
gotta
and
get it done.
the amazing thing that was watching Pedro for those 3 days in that conference, because somebody else saw my vision, and I'm like, yes, yes, like, yes. And it's the model of, it's serving, teaching, and growing. And you have to, again, walk through those things yourself, and get a mentor,
Hey,
invest in a mentor, however they find you. That's why these challenges are so great, because, oh, you have $25, you can get access to the best
so
mentor,
the best in the West. That's
the
right.
best in the West, right there.
Oh
That is
man.
just amazing. Well, let me, that's probably about 2 months down the line, um,
Sure.
from having the package. And then when I have the package, then I feel like I just want to fly out and see you, and then I'll show you how everything works. It'll be a step-by-step sort of thing, and then, you know, just get somebody that's
That'd
texting
be great.
to dump in the pictures and stuff. Don't try and do it yourself. It's just, it bogs you down. And if you're
Okay.
not,
Okay.
just get a VA to do it, and it won't be very expensive. But this
Hmm.
model is proven to be, like, at least the second try to be
Hmm.
exponentially. How did Pedro put it? He goes, I don't know what's happening right now, but the effort that you were putting in before COVID is now providing like 10 times the abundance.
Mm.
So I'm like, okay,
Mm.
so this is the time.
Wow.
This is the time to set it up and start getting, because you're already giving this value. You're already doing this, and now you can extend your reach so much
Sure. Sure. Absolutely.
through.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's our
Man.
marketing. It is our marketing.
Yeah.
People don't get it. I mean,
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
attention.
That's what it is at the end of the day.
Yeah, whoever's
And what?
wins.
There you go.
Yeah. So I was like, 3 years ago, I was like, so we just need a better marketing team. And somebody's like,
That's
yeah.
it.
I'm like, okay. I'm like, I'll be back. I'm like, let me go. And I felt like I was still missing a piece and missing a piece. And I was like, so I just kept pouring out in different ways. And then all of a sudden, like, Pedro came in, and I was like, thank you, Pedro. And then all of a sudden
There you go.
it connected all these other things. And then next year, I think it's next year, I've been showing it pretty clearly. It's going to be a music festival, and it's going to be not just music, but like education entertainment festival for like 3 days, where people are going to be able to watch like impact while having these like amazing people step on the stage and tell their story.
Wow.
And
Nice.
I'm going to be on stage, and I'm going to be like, don't you ever not believe in the power of one again.
That's right.
Because this
That's
all
right.
started from nothing, and that's how it started with you, and that's how it started with somebody else, and then it grew, and I was like, oh, thank God somebody else has a piece of my vision. Like,
There you go. There you go. That's man, Dustin, I'm impressed. I'm very impressed. You're
oh,
doing
I
your
can't
thing.
wait. Did you, like, this is what has been happening with finding people like you. I'm like, God bless. Thank you.
We exist.
Thank you.
We exist. There's quite a few people who don't want to hear from us and are disappointed that we're still around, but soon enough they'll be satisfied.
Well, have you
But not
ever
right now.
have you or your wife ever heard of heart math?
Heart math?
Heart math, yeah.
No.
I'm going to see if my friend, so I have a scientist, because I literally was passed this message from a heartbeat. So everything about this message has shown up in the way of a heart. It's
Wow.
how I know where to go. And I'm like, again,
Mm,
thank you for making it so obvious. Love, heart, got it.
there it is.
I'm like, got it.
Simple.
symbol. And
Man.
so in this, oh, I might have lost it. I was gonna say, um, oh, so I was told very specifically to feel this kind of energy in my heart. So I did. So I just felt it and got used to it and had to go through my anxieties, like getting into this center. But once I was in this center, there was no other place like it. Well, about 6 or 7 months ago, I took this woman's lunch and learned that, and she's heart math. And so there's this science that backs up what I was feeling. And so she had me hooked up to like this biofeedback, and she had me think of something angry, and she had me think of something that I was grateful for. And in the scan of my heartbeat, you could see, like, you would pick it out. You're like, I see where you thought of
Mm-hmm.
something angry. And so she's really backing all of this, how our hearts need to be driving the bus, because that's supposed to be running this vehicle. And we've
That's
been
right.
running it from our heads to our hearts. And so it's crossed. And
Mm.
so what I started doing is, when I started meeting people, and so do this, put your hand on your heart, because what I started noticing, now put your hand on your heart.
Mm-hmm.
You got it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then when this happens, you start getting your brain flooded with serotonin and oxytocin. And then it immediately
Okay.
brings you out of your head. So your body's had a physical, like a physiological response. Already, if you do this with them and you mirror this with them, because you're showing it to them in their mirror neurons, so they want to follow you. And then when they do this to themselves, it's the better step forward for their body. So now when they react from this
Really?
place, it's the easiest thing to change somebody's behavior. So now when, let's say, okay, where we put our arms down and now we have a conversation, we've gotten below our ego. That person is now below their ego and more into their heart space. So now
Wow.
they will now act from a place that's filled with more truth. The more
Right,
they
right,
can
right,
do that in the beginning, that's the practice. That's the
right,
behavior change. And then it's just a matter of going, oh yeah, those are the lessons.
right. Correct, correct. No, I get it. I get it.
And then you
Wow.
see what you were talking about, when you change your mind to that it's a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's something
It
that
definitely is.
it's something that fundamentally, like, science is proving this now, that it's unlocking
It's
something.
like a transfer.
Yeah. And it's just mind
It
blowing. And
really is.
Joe Dispenza talks about this, and how elevated emotion and elevated intention can literally heal your body.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I believe that.
Why don't
I
we start
really do.
why don't we start practicing that? Like, how do we get
Exactly.
good at
I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
that?
That would be awesome. Oh, that would be awesome.
And doing this, just this, if you try this out with your clients, anybody that you talk to, because the other thing is they'll also associate this with love with you. So
Mm-hmm.
it also puts them in a more vulnerable state to be honest. Because
Wow.
when your heart is open, you're not in an attack mode. Your heart
You're
goes,
more in a giving, giving or receiving mode.
you're giving and receiving, because your heart is so flooded, you're vulnerable.
I got it.
So it's
Makes sense.
literally the first behavior break. And
Makes sense.
you can get in sync with their hearts, and people will see that.
Wow. Wow. We should. We might get our social worker on at one point. She's on the presenting and lecturer circuit. She's working on a book right now,
Okay.
but she's very dynamic
Okay.
and is very open to modalities like this.
Okay.
Very, very open.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I after the conversation I just had with her yesterday about a couple of clients that we're working with, I know she'd probably want to say, we need to do this like today. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a
Well,
it's a
good news is
very cool approach.
I don't give up, and I don't think you give up.
Mm-mm.
And I'm so happy that you hear that calling too. I'm so happy that, you
Yeah,
know, that this is a reminder for us that this is exactly where we're supposed to be. We're doing exactly what we're supposed to be doing, and now it's time
there
to
you go.
just
So true. So true. It has been an exhilarating and incredible experience. It truly, truly has. And I look forward to many more. I
Yeah,
really do.
absolutely. Well,
Really.
I will get some stuff together, and let me ask one thing. So if you can leave the audience with one principle or one value of a way forward that they can start practicing in their life right now, what would that be?
I'm going to quote Proverbs.
Okay, I like it.
Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not unto your own understanding, but in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. And that was taken directly from Solomon, Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6. If I wanted to leave anybody with anything that is interested in success in any area of their lives, definitely do that. Habakkuk even backs that up by saying, write the vision, write it out. That's why you saw Desiree do the vision boards. This is nothing new, nothing new.
Nothing new.
And continue to immerse yourself with like-minded people
Yeah.
like you.
Well, building a community is huge, and thank you so much for putting yourself out there in a way that I was able to find you. Um,
Amen.
thank you for being that light for me, because I was like, yes. And
No worries.
you and I will get together and we'll whiteboard this. So
Oh yeah,
as soon as I've got some more stuff, you and I will keep in touch for sure.
good, Dustin. It's a privilege. It really is.
It's a privilege.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you too, hon. Have a great day.